There will be 10 NFL coaching changes this cycle, which is the most ever in the National Football League. And that is exposing the number one mistake that CEOs make and showing us what we can do differently in business. Hey, if you're not an NFL fan, don't worry. I got you covered. I'm going to relate this to business so that it makes sense whether or not you follow football. And by the way, if we're just meeting, I'm Danny. I run a company called All Star VAs, and my passion and my mission is to help entrepreneurs just like you scale and grow your business while working less and having way more fun. And if that's what you're into, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to work with me and chat with my team about what we do, just book a call using the link below or hit this QR code. All right, so if you are an NFL fan, you will see that 10 different openings are coming up this time around in the NFL. If you're not an NFL fan, National Football League or professional football has had a lot of coaching changes this time. That's all you really need to know about it. And so the number one mistake that this is showing us as CEOs of businesses is that a lot of times we hold on to people and to hope for way too long. In professional sports, they don't do this at all. They are quick to fire someone. Well, maybe in the case of the Bills, not so quick. I thought actually that coach should have been fired a long time ago. But because the owners in the NFL have such a high standard as to what they want to achieve with the Super Bowl or the championship, of course, being the number one goal, they are super quick to make a change, move on, even if that means that they have to pay that coach altogether going on forward, even though they're not coaching that team. So not only does this expose that mistake, but I want to share 3 things as a framework that we can adopt into our businesses so that we can achieve the same results and be held to the same high standard that NFL teams and team owners hold their businesses to. So, number 1 in the framework is making sure that for every person that you hire, you have an SOP or standard operating procedure. I see this all the time when my clients come to me and say, Danny, I want to hire whatever the position is, whether that's an administrative assistant or a inside salesperson or a social media manager. And what they don't have is they don't have standard operating procedure for that position. They don't have a job description. And so because of that, that's actually one of the first things that we do at our company when we start working with a client is create a standard operating procedure. That is going to describe what that position needs to do. Most importantly, what that position needs to accomplish. You know, I'm really big on having goals, having a vision, and then hiring people to that vision, right? So making sure that the person that you hire for the position fits what you want, whether that's skill-based or whether they're trying to fit into exactly what you want them to do, and then allowing that person to actually come up with the methods and the way that they're going to do it. I hate micromanaging, and so I don't want to hire people and then have to tell them what to do all the time. If you hire people that are like that and that you have to tell them all the time what to do, what happens is that you become the bottleneck in your business, and you don't want to do that, because if you're the bottleneck, everything's got to go through you, and that actually defeats the purpose of freedom, which is what I am after and what I hope you are after in your business. So first thing is standard operating procedure, great job description for each position. Number 2 in our framework to be like a professional sports team is that every position must have a KPI or set of KPIs, and that stands for key performance indicators. These are the numbers or the standards by which this position is going to be measured. A lot of times when I hire people, I actually tell them that, hey, here's how you win with me, just like in a sports team. And the way you win with me is you hit your KPIs. Let me give you some examples. If you're hiring, let's say, a salesperson, then those KPIs are going to be numbers related. X number of dials a day, Y number of appointments set, and Z number of sales or conversions every single week or day or month, whatever you're measuring it by. Here are the rules for KPIs. They have to be measurable. You can think of SMART goals. I know that's overused, but that analogy actually really applies to your KPIs, right? So the KPIs have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be achievable, or actionable, whatever word you want to use there, right? They have to be realistic, so they have to be something that the person can actually hit. I hate the word realistic. I actually like unrealistic goals better, but for the purposes of KPIs, you want them to be something that's actually achievable, right? Either you've done it or someone else has done it, and so you know that it can be done. And then T is for time bound. So there is a time measure to that goal. So like I said, with the salesperson, certain number of X every single day. Now you might be thinking, hey, what if this position doesn't really have specific KPIs that I can add? Well, let me tell you, every position has specific KPIs. If it's your executive assistant, you might be measuring the fact that every day your inbox on your email is at 0. That every appointment is confirmed by 9 a.m. Whatever that is, you want to measure those specific results. If it's a social media manager, for example, we measure the number of followers we have, the number of emails that are being sent out every week, the number of posts that are made, right? The things that you can actually control. And so that's number 2, which is your KPIs. And then number 3 in our framework is the accountability cycle. So once you have your job description and your SOP set and you have your KPIs, the next thing is that you got to hold your people accountable to those KPIs, right? You're not going to hold them accountable to things that aren't on the KPIs because then they won't know what they're being held accountable to. But let me give you an accountability framework that we use at our company that seems to work really well, and you can just copy it and implement it in what you're doing. Number 1 is the daily morning huddle. I think this is so important. So many entrepreneurs don't do this, or they do it for a little bit and then they stop doing it. Continuing to do it seems like something that gets boring or monotonous. But I will tell you that either you or someone on your team needs to do a daily huddle every single morning. What happens on the daily huddle? It's a really short call. This can be 5 minutes. What we do on our daily huddle, we all jump on Zoom and we just go over what our priorities are for the day. So I just ask each person, hey, tell me your priorities and tell me your KPIs and what your goal is for the day. And then they just tell me what that is. I ask if anyone needs me for anything. Are there any questions, concerns? Is there anything I can help anyone with? And then we move on from there. At the end of the day, everyone on the team is going to send me an end of day report. Very simple report. We use Slack for everything. The report just says what their KPI was for the day, how they did against that KPI, what they did during the day, their activities, and then there's a couple things at the end of that. There's 2 things. Number 1 is they're going to tell me their wins for the day, and then any challenges they had for the day. And then is there anything that I can help them get unstuck with, right? They're going to put that in there, and then we're going to have an end of day huddle. And the end of day huddle, again, super quick. All we do on that huddle is we go over the end of day report, essentially, right? So what happened, and they send the end of day report after the huddle. I probably put those in reverse order, but we jump on the end of day huddle. They're going to tell me what happened that day, what were their wins, what were their challenges, is there anything I can help them get unstuck on, and is there anything else that I can do for them that day? And then we're on to the next day. Once a week, we're going to do a 30-minute one-on-one with each person. That's either you or someone on your team. At the one-on-one, we're going to go over the KPIs for the week. If they hit their KPIs, amazing, awesome, lots of congratulations. If they didn't hit their KPIs, I'm going to ask what stopped them, what were the challenges, and what can we do for next week to make sure that we hit those KPIs. And then we're usually doing like 3 or 6 month reviews. But that accountability framework and accountability cycle keeps everyone on track, and we make sure that if there are any problems or if there's any issues, we nip those in the bud quickly. We don't let them continue to linger. So this 3-step framework, if you implement this in your business, if you have an SOP and a job description for every position, if you have KPIs for every position that make sense, that are smart, and then if you have an accountability cycle every single day, it is inevitable that you will hit your goals. And if not, you'll find out quickly that you have the wrong person in that role. And then, just like the NFL did, you can fire people and hire new ones. But firing people actually isn't cool. I mean, it's not a fun thing to do. I'm making a little bit light of it, but it's not fun. And I actually recently had to fire my executive assistant, and I got to tell you that it was my fault. If you want to find out that story and the lessons I learned from it, watch this video right over here.